still using VS Code or IntelliJ for your development work? Let's say there are more than 27 million software developers out there. If you are one of them, you must consider some other text editors or IDEs. Majority of the developers are using VS Code or IntelliJ IDEA as their main text editor or integrated development environment. In simple words, they are using those tools just to edit and manage their codes. There are more than 27 million software developers out there. If you are one of them, you must think for other alternatives. There are many variants of Visual Studio Code like CodeOS, VS Codium, Coder, all are different derivatives of the same code OSS, which is a grab of Atom, the text editor. It is not a fork. I would like to say it is a grab. That means there was a code editor named Atom. People like us loved that code editor very much. Microsoft purchased GitHub. Along with that, they decided to grab our beloved code editor along with all those components that came free with the tool. If you see the market share, according to Google, near about 5% they hold. But in my experience, majority of the people are using VS Code or various derivatives of VS Code. Like this one, the use of VS Code grew gradually, 50% to 73.6% in 2024. If you combine all those text editors that are derivative from VS Code, the percentage goes much higher, and this is a signal of worry. We should take a look. There are freedom-oriented people like me. They don't try to use VS Code as it is from Microsoft. What are the options? Other options. Yes, there are a lot of other options available. Like the Z editor, it is written on Rust programming language. My all-time favorite is Genie. Apart from those, I will mention some other names. Before that, let's take a look at Z editor. If I try to install Z, it comes with some additional packages like CLang, especially the Rust analyzer. That means you are getting some more along with the Z editor. If I select all and try to install this, waits around 200 MB. It is nearly similar as the VS Code in terms of weight, in terms of look, in terms of feel, but it is much faster. The installation is done. Now let's try to open the Z code editor. See, it feels similar to VS Code. I found a new functionality called Open Remote Folder. I think it will be a great feature for me, especially as I like to open my repositories remotely. Let's try the local folder first. See, it is very intuitive. This is my ongoing project, which is Whisper CPP API. It looks very nice and clean, especially it do not hurt the eyeball as it comes dark mode by default. The moment I open the Docker file, it suggests that I should install the Docker file extension. See, the extension installation was pretty much instant. After the installation, all those text highlighting becomes instantly visible. Python, yes, the Python binding came default, and let's try to see how light it is. See, I don't see any CPU usage for this application, so I would like to think it is a very light application. It even do not appear. Okay, let's try to see if this enlists in my system monitor. I'm not sure why the Kevin Wayland, that means the KDE Wayland, is consuming so much CPU. See, the Z editor, it is right now consuming only 423 MB, and CPU, according to CPU, even 1%, it is showing like 0.1%. See how optimized this application is. So I would like to use this piece of software as my daily driver for editing codes. And I think the development community is very much strong and vibrant. So I'll be getting each and every update. And as I am using Arch-based Linux, I'll be getting all those updates as soon as they get released. So let's exit Z editor. This was my great hope that I'll be able to find a great text editor apart from VS Code or VS Code derivatives. So I have found a much better option, which is Z editor, and it is available on Linux. And I know it is also available on macOS. Yes, Yes, for Intel and M series chips. Now let's try to understand what are the derivatives of VS Code. And now onwards, I will try to understand the basic of VS Code. If I search code, I will get this one. This is not the VS Code distributed by Microsoft. This is the open source version. That means if you want to develop or edit, or if you want to make any changes on your very basic code editor, you can do that for this one only, and it weighs around 122 MB. Now let's try to find the VS Code that is having proprietary softwares and proprietary codes from Microsoft. And yes, there are major difference between the open source version of VS Code, that is Code OSS, and the proprietary Visual Studio Code. It's Visual Studio Code bin. That means this is the binary distribution from the Microsoft, and it weighs around 415 MB. See the difference? The open source version only weighs 122 MB, where it weighs 415 MB. So there are more than 50% is having proprietary code, and I do not like proprietary code. If I install this one, see ICU 69, this is the free piece of software. Let's try to install this one. Yes, code is installed. See, this called Visual Studio Code. This comes along with the Copilot and some other tools. I forgot those other tools, but Copilot is the main one. You can set up Copilot from here. You can link your GitHub profile from here, and you can use Copilot within this text editor. This is the main selling point, and as Microsoft is distributing this piece of software, majority of the people are using this piece of software only. So I will not continue using this piece of crap. It's better to close and uninstall this piece of software, because I do not like any proprietary software or any kind of proprietary tools to be installed on my machine. And it's time to find another CodeOS derivative that is called VS Codium. See, this version of Visual Studio Code, that means VS Codium, this is fully compatible with additional tools and plugins. Those comes from the Microsoft itself. Those all are compatible and available within this VS Codium. Let's try to install this one, and it comes with GVFS, so that you can mount and manipulate other file systems. You will be able to talk to other file systems using GVFS. So let's continue. It weighs around 135 MB. Now it is getting installed, the VS Codium. In the meantime, let's try to understand the history, present, and the future of VS Code. There was Atom, as I said. This was the repo. As you see, it was archived, and all those good things was grabbed by Microsoft, and they took all those good things over here. This is the repository of Visual Studio Code, the open source version. That means the Code OSS. Microsoft, what they does, they provide all those source code over here, and later on they add their own stuff to this one, to this great piece of software, and they distribute and release only the binary, which I don't like about them. And if you search for VS Codium, see, this is the website and this is the repository. That means this is a fork of the VS Code OSS version, so you can rely on them. Yes, as I see, the VS Codium is installed, and we have two versions of VS Code, which I like the most, because I love X11 the most. Still, I feel Wayland is not quite there, I feel, but majority of the people feels that Wayland is much superior and much polished than X11. So each and every distribution nowadays started to come with Wayland. So they provide, VS Codium provides Wayland and X11 version. So let's try to open the Wayland version, as right now I am using Wayland. By the way, the operating system is called Garuda. I love the operating system. It is having the spirit of Arch Linux, and you do not feel the pain to use. Yes, as you see, all those extensions are available here. I like White. See, White is here. I like Vue. Even they are still providing Vue 2's version of this, and they have Vue official one. So I don't have any problem to use this piece of software, and I have used this one. Okay, the VS Code and VS Code derivatives are done. Let me know if I am missing something, but I need to move on. So I want to mention NetBeans and Eclipse. Many of my friends, they worked on various projects. They used to use Java and other programming language, which I do not like. Especially, I don't feel Java as a full-fledged programming language because any moment of time, Java can be jailed. That is the reason why Google made their own programming language that is called Kotlin. So if you want to build or make anything based on Java, it's better you start with Kotlin, not Java. So my friends used to use Eclipse and I have used NetBeans in the past like 8 or 10 years ago. But NetBeans, I remember it was resource heavy and I don't need a full-fledged IDE to return all those defined classes or simple tasks. I used to use Vim and GNU Emacs. Yes, today I totally forgot the name. GNU Emacs is a fantastic piece of software. There is a say like Emacs is a full-fledged operating system that lacks the code editor itself. Yes, but as you see, the Emacs is not just a text editor. You can make it a full-fledged browser. You can make it a full-fledged MP3 player. You can make it as a full-fledged LSP server. Emacs has a great potential, but there is a stiff learning curve. And if you don't continue with Emacs or even Vim, you will generally forget. What problem I have is like I'm not a full-time programmer. That is the reason why I tend to forget those key bindings and way to do things. Emacs and Vim, those are like religion to some people. Okay, if you search list of code editors, you will get Visual Studio Code, Sublime Text. Yes, Sublime Text is a piece of software that is also having, as I remember, it was fully closed source and proprietary software. Atom was a good piece of code editor. Notepad++, yes, this one I liked that one very much. Notepad++, especially if you are on Windows, there was only one option, that is Notepad++. Bluefish, that is my all-time favorite because Bluefish and Jenny, those are like brother, and those code editors used to come default by various Linux distributions, so those were pretty much enough for me. Brackets, yes, brackets was a thing past few years ago. Many people used that piece of software, but I don't think brackets is still a thing nowadays. Let's try to search bracket. The website is still alive. Let's try to search for brackets. If I find no brackets, the Arch do not have a brackets binary built in. Vim is a great piece of software, especially in our development community, especially those CAD level developers. They used to like Vim so much, especially the Vim macros and Vim bindings. WebStorm from JetBrains. I believe JetBrains provides the free version of their code editor for the Android Studio development. If I install Android developer tools or simply the Android Studio, I believe the JetBrains ID will come default. Let's try to install this piece of software. Let the installation to proceed. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the default text editor. See, this is the project where I am working right now. This one. If I open this using Kate is also a great piece of software and it comes with this functionality. I'm not sure what it calls. It basically, see, it provides a mirror-like functionality. It is very much handy, especially the code length is long, then it becomes a very handy thing, especially if you want to move to the quarter of the code or not. If you want to go to the quarter bottom, those steps becomes very easy if you are using this piece of tool. I'm not sure what it called. So Genie is also similar. I will not try to install Genie because whatever comes default, it serves my purpose. So I don't need any additional piece of software. Suppose I am trying to develop a software which is on a remote repository, like one server in my main office. So I'll just SSH into that server and use the default text editor. Default text editor means the Y, the Nano, Micro, Micro, even the Pico editor serves me well. Especially, I want to mention something about Micro. Micro is a great piece of software that is very extendable and very much configurable. Like if I type Micro, it provides basic information on the bottom and it is very extensible. That means you can have a dedicated file browser on the left, like some of my friends use the Vim editor. So you will have the option to configure as you desire. And it is very light, very fast and intuitive. As I see Vim, those are not intuitive for me. But in case of Micro, it is very intuitive, especially the Control C, Control V, it comes default. And selection of text. As you see the Nano, if I use Nano, if I type something, the selection is not bad, but when it comes to copy paste and multiple line selection, those are pretty much hard to achieve, where the Micro editor is very much intuitive. I wish Micro editor becomes much more stable and it comes with all those bells and whistles by default. Android Studio still being installed. In the meantime, let's try to remember some of the history of text editors. As I know, there was only one text editor called ED, the full form of editor. That means if you type ED, it will open up a application that can edit text, and it is a one-liner text editor. Like 40 or 50 years ago, there was no monitor. You'll have to type on the terminal. This is not the terminal I'm talking about. Like this is the virtual terminal, but the real hardware terminal. If you are having a real hardware terminal, this is also a terminal, but not like this. I'm talking about terminal having TTY with typewriter. This one, I believe. If you are connected this terminal, this text emitting terminal, which is connected to any Solaris or Unix or even Linux in this matter, if you connect this one to your computer, you are having only one piece of software that can edit inline. That is ED text editor. And I believe the ED text editor also written by Dennis Ritchie or the other guy who initially wrote the Unix operating system. ED text editor. See this piece of software. It's very good to see that so many people still knows those things. As I know, ED is the OG text editor, especially in the Unix branch of operating system. See, there was two main operating system. One is called Unix, another one is called CPM. CPM eventually became DOS, QDOS, each and every part of the Windows operating system. Eventually it becomes Windows, and there is Unix based operating system. Unix, Minix, Linux. See the gradual evolution. And there is another part that is called BSD, FreeBSD, and later on BSD became the macOS. By the way, each and every macOS derivatives, whether it is iOS, phone operating system, watch operating system, vision operating system, all those are direct descendant of the Unix operating system. Still the Android Studio installation is being processed. In the meantime, let's try to understand the development of various text editors. As I know, there was ED, the text editor. Later on, VI became the main and widely used text editor. Later on, VIM creates the fork from the VI, the text editor. And nowadays, VIM becoming very much bloated. I would not say the word bloated, but it's better to explain this way, like it is having more or more functionalities built in, and the plugin system is becoming widely acceptable, especially in these core development communities. PHP is one of my best programming language, especially if you target the web servers. The creator of PHP still using VI, not VIM, still using VI, I remember, as I have seen him using the VI editor on stage. So I'm not that much of techie, so I try to use whatever is suitable for me. But still, how easy or how useful the VS Code editor is, I will not try to use that one. Those because of the freedom. As I see, some of the companies do not provide enough freedom to their users, so I do not like to use those pieces of software. I remember using Apache NetBeans as it supports PHP very well. The Android Studio installation installation is done now. Let's try to open the Android Studio, and I expect this piece of Android Studio software will come default with IntelliJ platform. Still, there is no mention of IntelliJ. To install Android, I'll have to accept this terms and condition. See, Android is a open source platform, as each and everyone knows. But in the heart of Android, there is a piece of proprietary code called Google Play Services. And this piece of proprietary code is very much mandatory to use, because without the proprietary piece of software, you will not be able to use your phone as a daily driver, because you will have to use some of the banking and secure platforms or secure applications. Those all secure applications depends on the proprietary piece of software. So if you install any derivatives or even the AOSP version of Android on your mobile or any device, you will not be used as you want to use, because no secure application will be able to install. Even in India, there is a payment application called Bhim, and there are so many derivatives of Bhim like PhonePe, Paytm, Google Pay. All those applications depends on the Vim UPI payment interface. But if you want to install the core application, the Vim, you will not be able to install the Vim. But I have found the PhonePe application, which is capable to install on AOSP or AOSP derivative devices, as they intended to create a APK distribution platform. That is the reason why they made their application, that is PhonePe, to be usable on bare minimum AOSP project. But still, the user experience was not quite there. So I failed to use that phone. I'm not sure what it is doing. It is installing Android emulator. It would be much better if they had packaged all those in one single application. Still, I wonder why so many applications, especially like this Android Studio, used to install softwares within this kind of folders, like within the user folder rather on bin folder. If you install all those softwares in the bin folder, especially the heavy softwares, it would require only one single instance of space rather than on each and every user. Like if another user on this device, like home, car, not car, he is using another user like user 2, he will have to install separately for the user to use this application. It's better, I understand, to use the bin folder or even S bin folder. Yes, it took quite a long to install this piece of Android Studio software. Still, I did not find any mention of IntelliJ, although I am pretty much sure that IntelliJ is the default text editor for Android Studio. Yes, I found under the help and about, I see this one, OpenJDK 64-bit server VM by JetBrains RSO. See, this piece of code editor is provided by JetBrains, and I understand there might be some kind of collaboration between Android developer and JetBrains. Anyhow, I don't like this piece of code editor, especially it is being very heavy on CPU, memory, overall resource hungry. But I see here is the new option called power save mode. I believe using this functionality, the overall load would be much lower. Anyhow, let's quit. And this was pretty much it. I have mentioned all those text editors and IDs I could remember. If you find any other tools related to this topic, you may pin it to Silicon Pin topic. Bye for today.